All right, it says it's recording. I want to see if this is actually, I hope this is recording not just me. I hope it's recording everybody. How do I make sure it's doing that? More. Anyway, I will edit this out of the video. Hi, Dawn, how's it going?
Good. Hi, how are you?
Hi, we're just waiting a few minutes. There is a developer for a BZA case who had agreed to accept our invitation to present tonight for 1219 Sims. Oh, and he is not yet here. While we're waiting for him, let me just give a quick introduction. Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, June, where's the date? June 17th, and this is the June public meeting of ANC 5D's Zoning and Development Committee meeting. We've got some more people attending here. Let me promote. I promote everyone to panelists. That way we can see everyone's smiling faces. I'd also like to thank our ASL interpreter support tonight this evening. Thank you so much. Thank you, Derek, for reminding me to get that set up. Hopefully, moving forward, this is a standing request with the ANC, so we don't have to scramble, a few days in advance. So the primary item in tonight's agenda is a Board of Zoning Adjustment case, BZA case 20483. It's a proposed development at 1219 Sims Place Northeast. And I think what I will do is I will share my desktop screen so that I can share various applications. If this is being seen, I just want to give context for this development. Here it is. 1219 Sims Place is here. We have it in the neighborhood, just zooming out a little bit. Oh, let me get a north orientation of Trinidad. So it's up here on Sims Place. And where is it? There we go. And then we have it right here. It's this 4-unit apartment building right here in the middle. And the I'll jump into Street View. Here's a bit. So it is currently it's pre-1958 4-unit apartment building, and the developer has proposed to go down a story, go up a story, and do an addition. And they are applying for zoning relief to convert this into 8 units.
So
And
Kevin, I just got off the phone with him and he's going to join in. He's going to join in by phone. He said he had sent you some updated plans, possibly maybe an hour ago. I wasn't sure.
let me take a look at that.
But I don't know if he uploaded them or just emailed them to you. But he did say he was going to join here in a minute.
Oh, he did. And looks like he did send us something. I just downloaded them. Let me copy them over to this. That way I can share these on the screen.
Yeah, he said he wouldn't be able, he was joining by phone. So if you could share the plans, it sounded like, so he could present himself.
Yeah. Okay.
And it sounded like they might show 6 units instead of 8.
Okay.
But I haven't seen them, so I don't know. That's
Yeah.
just, he mentioned that.
Let's have a look. All right. So looks like the massing is staying the same, and I don't think any of anyone expressed concern with the massing of the building itself. I think people are more concerned about the lack of family size units.
Yeah. If you look at the sections, it looks like they're not going down anymore.
Yeah. Now what I should do is, if I could quickly do this, I want to send these. I'm going to quickly send these out on the Marshall. I'm going to forward you that email And could you take care of posting that to the Google group on the 1219 Sims Place? If just reply all to the thread about tonight's meeting and announcement.
Sure.
Can I be added to that?
Sure. And actually, it's something I think we should discuss. Within the ZDC, we've got this Google group where we use to kind of announce things. But I really think it might be a good place for just to completely open it up and have it public, because it is kind of an easy place to have a thread going and discuss projects. And I do think there's some neighbors who would probably appreciate that. But anyway, going back here, so here are the plans. I want to be sure if Mr. Salad joins that hopefully I hear a boop in my ear or something. So it looks like
He just texted me asking for the Zoom meeting, so I'm
Okay.
forwarding that to him right now.
okay, great. And let me see if I can quickly mute myself so I can take a drink of water here. Okay. So if he's joining, I might just pause for a second and I'll allow him to talk through his concept. I will leave the drawings up here so we can start to take a look.
Kevin, can you remind us in the meeting if this is allowed to submit updated plans at this point in time?
Oh, absolutely. There is a deadline. I think it is 14 days. I'm forgetting now, or it might be 21. There's a deadline that they have to have a certain number of days before their BZA hearing. So I honestly, I forget. Let me take an action. You know, it's not uncommon when applicants for zoning relief actually will go through a first hearing simply to get some feedback and see how the Board of Zoning Adjustment is feeling, and then submit revised plans. From a time perspective, they're always better off just going there as quickly as possible with a plan that wins support. But yeah, so it looks like, how many units are they proposing? I'm seeing on the first floor. On the basement, we're seeing, again, looks like the units haven't changed. 2 bedrooms. On the first floor, 2 bedrooms. And looks like the second and third are some large family size units. So that is
I'm sorry, which ones are you saying are large family size?
so unit, for instance, on the second, so we'll go back first here. The basement unit is, there's 2 units on each side of the building, and each unit on the basement, unit 1 is a two bedroom, unit 2 is a 2 bedroom on the basement. On the first floor, we have 2 more 2 bedroom units. And then on the second and the new 3rd floor, so we're adding a 3rd floor addition. There's 2 more units on the 2nd and 3rd floor. And each of those are 3 bedroom units. Bedroom number 1 looks a little small, but
Is it 5 and 6 are 2 bedroom units or 3 bedroom units?
they're 3 bedroom because like the first bedroom is on the main floor, and
Okay,
then 2nd and 3rd bedroom, you go up onto the 3rd story.
so
Looks
those
like
would be
bedroom num-
duplexes. 5 and 6 are duplexes?
It's a 4 flat, so it's on either, the building is kind of split down the middle.
Okay,
But look like better number one's like an office or a study.
Yeah, it's compact.
Now, do you currently have buildings that have been redone in this way on Sims? Because you're the ANC for that particular street, right?
Not to this level. Everything's been just redesigned or redeveloped. Just ¿cómo se dice? Um, just to renovate. Only real renovations. Nothing major like this, except for that one unit touching Montello.
So just to put it in perspective, if we were to approve this, this would be setting a precedent.
Correct. As I addressed it to the property owner when I first spoke to him about this property.
Kevin, can you flip to the next page?
Sure.
And I think I posted them correctly, Andrew. You should be able to access them if you wanted to download them.
Okay.
But I'm not going to claim to be a Google Groups master, so I may have messed that up.
I'm not either.
This design is looking like the ones that I've seen now being constructed on Trinidad and ROM. It's similar to those in this little quadrant. What do you think, Miss Lancaster? Have you seen this design before?
You mean as far as
This
the outside or?
the 6-unit type where they put a basement apartments and then
I haven't seen, I can't recall seeing any basement units. I have seen them
without
do
the
something
basements.
similar on it. Oh, yeah, without the basements, but something similar on Meigs, but it was more than one building. This is
And I haven't seen many families technically move into these. It's always
Right.
been like groups of people that could afford the rent.
or group, or they are leased to group homes,
Mhm.
things like that.
But I haven't personally seen any families per se.
No, it's not big enough.
Well, family couldn't afford it.
I think that's the main thing.
Yeah,
Only a couple can't. No, you gotta get another head in there.
right.
Kevin, do you know if there's a precedent for them digging out a basement in a building this size? I don't know that I've really noticed them doing that in the neighborhood for a larger building like this.
I've only seen it in houses
Right.
Yeah,
around here where they
they're-
would open, you know,
they're act-
for-
they're
make a
act-
mother-in-law unit.
This is Derek. He also had a comment to make about considerations. So he had, when it comes to innovating with roofs and having access to that dock.
Their rooftop desk.
And with the rooftop desk, with
Mhm.
those particular renovations.
Yeah, it is hard. I am seeing what appears.
I'm
to
sorry,
be-
can I clarify? Will there be a rooftop access deck?
I am seeing, just looking at the plans, I'm seeing a line here that says the top of the roof, and then they're showing the parapet is quite a bit taller than it would need to be. Typically, when we see this, there is a rooftop deck. I'm not seeing it. Normally, they call that out because it is considered like an amenity that adds value to the property. It sure looks tall enough to support a rooftop deck. They're just not saying there is one.
Kind of
Jump
unclear
to the
here.
top plan real quick. Do this, sorry, that one below
Okay.
that, because it doesn't look like the stair goes up to the roof.
Yeah, it doesn't. Now, that's not to say, I mean, the building next to me just got converted and has a rooftop deck, and the steel, the iron back deck has a spiral staircase from the
Mhm.
third story. Basically, from this level here, they just did a spiral staircase up to the rear access.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it would make sense for them to add a rooftop deck at the building. They've clearly, it would support this if they were to, no one really objects to that
Yeah, definitely.
unless there's solar on the adjoining projects,
Actually,
which I
I've-
don't see that.
I have a suggestion about access to the sunroof deck with the air and the lighting. And secondly, my second question is regard to more with the basement units.
Mhm.
So if you're living on your own in that place, I do have a duplex near my own homes near on the 11th block street, as well as designing having a living space in my area in that with natural lighting in my own area as well as more than once a month where I'm able to see the room in the unit with a living space. I have access to natural lighting in that area. It's definitely a lot faster and more similar. It's a similar cost to more than having the 2 bathrooms and the 1 bathroom on each side of the area. It's a similar price for that. So for example, if you look at the Hall block, I believe on 13th or 4 Hill block, I believe so,
Oh.
street, you can see one room where there is a bathroom with an 8 by foot with the, sorry, just the interpreter asking for clarification.
Sure.
With the 700 space heat. With 1303 Hillbrook Street.
Okay, gotcha. You want me to go to another address? I can do that, sure. Where is this? Maps.
If you type in Redfin 13th
Sure.
here, I have a screenshot here.
1304.
1304,
Okay.
yeah, that street.
This-
You'll see the unit number that is placed there. It is
Hmm.
3-1 with 1 bathroom,
Mhm.
400,000, and then the neighbor unit is the same building where you have 2 rooms, 2 bathrooms, a
Yep.
living space without access to natural lighting. That's 7088 feet. It's a similar price for 4,000.
I think he said unit 3.
Say
Okay.
unit 3.
Interesting. This is a unit with, this looks like I'm seeing lots of light. Looks like but of course it's a one, oh, so this is a 1-bedroom unit. So instead of, so I see, so I think what I'm hearing is that you think this would have been a better unit instead of squeezing in 2 units and living in darkness.
I wanted to explain more. I just wanted to make a point that with that 1-room bedroom, it's still desirable.
Mhm.
People will still want to purchase this area for their 1 bathroom. It has access to natural lighting. It's really good quality building and in a decent location. And so it has 2 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and it's both similar buildings, and it's both
Oh,
inclusive
yeah.
to.
Yeah, no, I basically, I think
That's what I was just considering to make when you decide if you want the 2-bedroom with the basement unit. Just probably what are your thoughts are with making that decision? Is it for marketing purposes, or is it not making sense? Or what are you trying to succeed here with the designing process for this?
So before we ask, Marshall, has Mr. Sala joined us on the phone? I am, let me see. If
I have
can-
not seen him. I sent him, he asked for a telephone link. I had sent him the registration and told him that it sends all the links once you register.
Hmm.
So I haven't heard anything after that.
Yeah, I don't see anyone else who has.
Is
I don't see any phone numbers
mean,
dialed in.
Can you like copy and email I don't know that I can because I'm not the
Sure.
leader, but can you send a link of a call-in number to him
You wasn't
directly?
clear. Sure, I can do that. Let me, give me 2 minutes.
And just to clarify, Derek's question sounded like it was more for the developer.
Yes.
So that's why we're kind of pausing to try to get the developer on the phone.
Yes.
And I don't know, maybe, Kevin, while you're doing that, do you know if putting in a basement unit, if digging out the basement is a matter of right?
How do I see this issue here? Oh, by the way, Marshall, looks like there isn't a dial. I need to provide him. Let me go into the Zoom account.
Yeah, I
and
think
get that didn't
like
provide.
when
There is a dial-in number for the webinar. I just need to find it and give it to him here. So
I mean, I can copy and paste the one I sent to me when I registered. I just don't know if it'll kick me if I send them the one that sent to me.
I'm looking for the audio options for this meeting. We've got the webinar ID here. Yeah, this is the first time where somebody has not dialed in.
Send that number out and see if that works.
Yeah.
And Dawn, I appreciate your question because I have concerns with just because of the area in this part of Trinidad is known for having issues with foundation, and which makes sense because 100 years ago no one wanted to come live over here next to the cemetery and the railroad tracks. So a lot of these buildings and plots are just kind of just here just because that's all people can afford, and soil isn't too good to be dealing with so much construction going down. We just had like a whole bunch of water issues on Sims recently over the winter, and it was just crazy. The water was coming out of the ground. So there's some things obviously that need to be addressed on Sims, but I hope this kind of construction doesn't make it worse.
Yeah, and I would just, be curious as to the precedent and if it's a matter of right. I mean, if it's a matter of right, then there's nothing we can say about it anyways, but it's an interesting idea as opposed to going up. I mean, of course, in this situation, they're trying to do both, go up and go down. But what are the implications? And as soon as one does it, then they're all going to want to do it because it does maximize the resale because they can maximize the number of units.
Exactly.
I do think you are allowed to go down. I'm not aware of a part of the zoning code that would preclude you from digging out your basement or digging below within your property line. So I think it is something that's allowed.
Yeah, you'd be limited by, I mean, you need a structural engineer and you need pinning, so you're not affecting the other and geotechnical. So there are physical limits, but it's not zoning so much as building code and building safety that would be limiting you.
There's
Well, and once you get below a certain depth and don't have any windows or the ability to have windows, then you no longer can have certain livable spaces.
Because like none of those properties that got redeveloped on Sims have dug into their basements. So I wonder if it's maybe a foundation issue on Sims that probably can't manage that, but I'm sure they would probably find out if that's the case.
It may have to do with how much it costs per linear foot to underpin a building. You know, you have an existing building which is 50 by 50 by 36 by 36, got 172. Any of the architects know what roughly at the top of head how much it costs to underpin a building? It's probably 75,000 to 100,000 of just an underpinning job to go down. That's to protect the adjoining homeowners, you know, and that's some serious money.
Yeah, but after losing 2 units when you wanted it from 8 to 6, I'm sure they'll take that. They'll do that. They'll make that investment.
So I did send, I hope it correct, Marshall, I did CC you on that webinar information. If you wouldn't
Yep.
mind trying that to see if it allows you to dial in. I haven't tried it myself, but that is the webinar.
Sure, I could try. I texted it to him as well, so
Okay.
he should definitely have it.
And actually, it was something that Marshall said that reminded me. Isn't it still the rule that you have to have a window for a room to be considered a bedroom?
And they do, they are meeting these requirements with the window wells on the side.
Right,
Um,
but going back to Derek's question as to why they chose to do a 1-bedroom in the basement, that's because
Oh.
they only have the back wall for windows.
They, for this proposed development or for the Holbrook
Right.
Street? Well, they have 2 window wells. These are actually 2-bedroom units,
So,
In the
so
basement.
even in the basement, yes.
Oh,
can I ask a question on the ventilation in the kitchen? Because I was living in a condo over here on Rom, and the ventilation was terrible, and I was only on the first floor, so I can only imagine the basement. Like, aren't there rules or regulations in terms of that?
There's building code that requires a vent, and will be a new building, and I'm sure they'll run a proper vent. I mean, it's the problem with old apartments often, I don't even have a vent in my own house. So I will after this year's renovation, but there's ceiling height requirements. I didn't look on the side profile to see how tall. They have not. That is something we should ask them about, by the way, is what is the ceiling height per? But I'm guessing they're staying under the 35-foot limit for the 3rd story, that they don't have a problem doing that and providing spacious ceiling heights.
We up on the section, it looks like they have elevation markers. We can
Oh.
at least see the floor.
Oh, you are correct. Is it
Oh, there you go. On the left, yeah, or on the very
Mhm.
right.
Yeah. So 8 foot for the basement, which is, it's above the 7-foot minimum. 8 foot is acceptable. And I should point out, and a lot of people do care about this, they are setting back the 3rd story addition to preserve the existing rooftop architectural element. I know a lot of people, that is important to a lot of people. Instead of just
Yes,
having the massing, setting it back 6 foot helps.
they have to.
That could potentially be an area that they're going to provide access to, that little 3 foot on the
Oh,
front.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they have to offset. That's regulation.
So what, before Mr. Sala joins us, some questions, I think we got somebody, we have questions here. 2-bed limit doesn't appeal to families and isn't more desirable. It's a 1-bed, 1-bath. Yeah, I think, Derek's, so Derek, do you think this, obviously the family size on the 2nd and 3rd stories are desirable. Do you think these units here would have been more desirable if they had left these more larger one-bedroom units with light filled, similar to those units you sent us the link to on Redfin.
Yes, I do think that. And also just one little bit of feedback for me is it's cool to see, the family size units on the upper floor, but that's not, you were talking about that, but on the lower two levels, the basement level and the first floor, if they had a larger one bedroom, it might be better for young people, a couple, something like that, who live, that could be a draw for them to have a bigger one bedroom and have that natural lighting. It might, honestly, a first floor might be more desirable for a family. So that would make more sense to me. I was just curious about the design wise, why that would be. I just feel a little bit in favor of, I like to follow the market. I like to follow the resale and see what sells and why it does. And it's just interesting to see in the last 6 years what has sold. I know the housing inventory is a lot lower right now. And we always see units like the living room, the dining rooms, units with living rooms and dining rooms and large living spaces sell at higher rates. They don't sit on the market for such a long time. So that's just kind of like my example, the Redfin recently. In 2021, just watching those resale units, the 1304 unit that we were looking at, it's interesting to see, on the market, how many people are looking at it and they're able to charge higher prices for that. So I'm just curious. I want to see what the developer thinks about the resale rate and why design it this way? What's the reasoning behind it? What's the developer's reasoning? Just what's the goal? If we want to have a bigger living and eating area, but no natural light, no natural airflow from windows. It's just interesting to see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for the developer to explain his logic. I will say that unit, that building, 1304 Holbrook, I think if that's the building I'm thinking of, it's around the corner from me. That building was fully renovated, I think, maybe like 2 years ago. And in the past 3 months, since March, April, and June, 3 of those 4 units have all sold again. So I don't know if there's something going on in that building. I don't know anyone who lives there, but now 3 of the 4 people have decided that they don't want to live in that building. 3 of them, within the past 3 months. So I wonder,
I think Mr. Salah is in the attendees.
Oh, great. Let me, do I have to? Yeah, look at this. Great. I will promote to panelist. Hello, Mr. Salah. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming. We are, you can't see it, but we are screen sharing the architectural plans you sent us this evening.
Yes, I can see it on my laptop, so I can see, yeah. But I followed the conversation for about 10 minutes or so, 5 minutes or so, yeah.
So I just want to turn the floor over to you for 10, 15 minutes, and you introduce yourself, tell us about this project, and I'll let you leave here.
Okay, all right. My name is Alex Salah, and I'm an engineer, registered engineer that does some plans sometimes. Okay, so the owner of the project, Mr. Jose Moya, he owns the building at 1219 Sims Place. And he said it's not time for him to, make it better. So his intention was to do 8 units, and then I believe he contacted you guys, and then you said the 8 units was too much, so maybe 6 units will be acceptable. So I had really changed the plans, right? So all I did was to change the upper two floors from the single, I mean, from the the 2 bedrooms, and made unit 5 and 6 2 floors. So I didn't think about reversing them, putting them on the first floor, but I thought maybe it would be better if the higher floors had more space than the lower floors. So yeah, so as you saw, we have to set back the last floor because of the architectural element at the front. This area doesn't allow you to take that off, so a little bit of offset at the front. So the last floor would have an offset. Other than that, so we reduced the project to 6 units and hope that the ANC would be in favor, will support the project. And that concludes my presentation. So I'll be happy to take any questions.
One easy one. How long has Mr. Moya, how long has he owned this building?
Oh, I'm sure, over 10 years, a long time ago.
Have you done any other renovations in the neighborhood?
Not on Sims, but Holbrook, we're doing a Holbrook 11, I think 1111 Holbrook. I'm if you're familiar with that area. There's a 4-unit building going at 1111 Holbrook Terrace. Yeah, I designed that one.
Mr. Sala, you're requesting zoning relief to go from the 4 units, which is by right, to 6 units, and you've reduced it from 8. Can you explain to us about the variance and why this site, why it has a hardship and why it should be granted, this special exception or variance?
Okay, well, Office of Planning has emailed me saying that it will not support it. And I've communicated that information to the owner, but he doesn't want to, give it up. So he's proceeding. I mean, Office of Planning says categorically that they would not support it because you need 900 square feet per unit, and the lot is not that big. So to me, I told him that he's going to be denied, but but we're just going through the ANC to see what you guys will say. But the whole thing will boil down to the Office of Planning. If they say no, then it wouldn't. I mean, it won't be done. He has to do his existing 4 units.
What would you, do you have any idea what your client might do if, let's say, and by the way, I think in our communication earlier this week,
Yeah.
And the zoning committee, we are most in attendance tonight. You do actually have some of the ANC commissioners, and most of us are the volunteer neighbor
Sure.
Committee members, and we don't, the zoning committee ourselves, we don't vote on projects. We just try to do research on behalf of the ANC and present a non-partisan, but I do try to just tell you, I would have been, I think what I said to you on the phone is I would have been surprised. I think it would have been highly unlikely for the ANC to support an 8-unit on a an RF1 zone lot.
That's correct. Okay.
What do you think if for some reason, let's just say the ANC supported this, but it went to the BZA and they still denied it? What do you think the next project would look like? Would it be a 4-unit where all four, would it be a large 4-unit where all 4 units are family size? What would you suspect it might become?
Believe he would have to accept the fact that probably the 6 units would not fly. And so like we did at 1111 Holbrook, we had each unit had 2 floors, like one floor would have all bedrooms and the second floor would have 1 bedroom plus the living areas. So if zoning, BZA denies it, he would have to do the 4 units on, I think he would still put a 3rd story, but make it bigger. So it will look like what units 5 and 6, so unit 5 and 6 will be duplicated on cellar plus first floor.
The unit mix at 111 Holbrook, is that are all 4 3 bedrooms, or is it?
They're all 3 bedrooms each.
Mr. Sala, this is Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
We had some questions about trash and where that would be located and how you would do that while accommodating the 4 parking spots in the back. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I believe he had a 4 unit before, so whatever arrangement that, let's say if zoning, BZA denies it, then he will go by right? But to answer your question, I believe wherever the trash cans were kept, maybe, I don't know whether it's the alley pickup, right? If it's alley pickup, then the trash cans will be in the alley. I'm sorry, will be at the rear.
Okay, so in your plans, you have 4 9 feet, well, you have 3 9 feet wide and 1 9.5 feet wide parking spaces that take up the entirety of the rear. If you had 4 vehicles parked there, there would be no possible way that there could be any trash receptacles collected by an alley delivery. That's concerning to us, especially as you are going back with the building and you'll have less space in the back on this plan. Even if you did it without variance, I can tell you that would be a problem that would need to be addressed regardless.
Okay, well, if he does it without a variance, like by right, because it's a purposefully built a 4 unit in an RF zone, so he can continue to do that. But the only thing, 4 parking, it's not, how many parking I provide? 4, right? So the minimum parking, if only 2 are required, then, then there'll be space for trash, to roll the trash can to the alley. So if it goes back to the original design, probably the parking will be reduced, maybe 3 or so. Will be reduced to 3.
So Commissioner Hoffman, one thing we should keep in mind, so if the agency doesn't support it or if the BZA denies it, it becomes a 4 unit building, but because it's a matter of right, I don't think any of those 4 units become inclusionary zoning or affordable housing. If there was an agreeable 5 unit or a 6 unit building, I think one of those units then becomes affordable. And that might be a way for the community to get some affordable housing out of the development. And that might be something for us to consider.
This is Alex. I believe if Office of Planning will support it, I think he's willing to he'll be willing to opt into the IZ in order to get a project at least the 6 units. But I don't know what Office of Planning. I'll suggest it to the Office of Planning tomorrow and see whether that would help. If not, then we just have to go to the BZA here and see what they will vote on. But it looks like they will deny it anyway.
Yeah, and if they're going to deny it, there's no reason for us to even consider trying to support it. And to be, I mean, I appreciate that attempt, Kevin, but to be quite honest, affordable housing is never really honestly affordable.
Sure,
Mhm.
sure.
Could you explain? I'm just curious. I mean, because there are you saying the IZ program, those units don't get purchased?
Well, yes, they are affordable, but what they consider the affordable amount is really, I don't agree with what they consider affordable. It's not an affordable living amount. And of course, I don't have those numbers here,
Okay.
but there's been plenty of studies shown that the numbers that they have to hit to be in that program are really not affordable for like a family of four.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about metrics, not necessarily the accessibility. It's like how you determining accessibility is not maybe accurate, but
Right.
Well,
They fit
that's a great
into the
point.
program. They fit in the program by metrics, but it's not technically affordable.
certainly something to
Mr.
consider.
Salah, I had a question. Do you
Yes,
know what the owner plans on doing with these units once they are developed?
I believe we plan to sell them as,
Sell them
yeah, convert into condos.
and then sell.
That is correct.
Okay.
Were there plans for roof access? There was a fairly tall parapet wall on the roof. It seemed that maybe that was potentially something that would be considered.
Well, the parapet by right 3'6" maximum. So I mean, right now, I mean he could add a roof deck if he could add a roof deck so that we can extend the stairs to the roof. So probably if the roof deck would let the upper units sell better, I'm sure he'll go for a roof deck. But 3'6" is the maximum parapet height that is allowed. All right.
Mhm.
Did we want to resurface Derek's question from before Mr. Salahi was on?
If you'd like to repeat it, I forget it. I think I was searching for phone numbers at the time.
It's okay. I think he probably can speak for himself, but I mean, it's also in the chat where he was talking about the design considerations.
Yes, I can repeat it. I'm just curious to
Yes.
know what are the considerations in terms of the process for design of keeping the 2-bedroom in the living space without the access to natural lighting, and as well as the lower unit in the floor. So I was just considering what design in particular and why the design is set up in that way. I just wanted to have a better understanding from a developer perspective in terms of that. Why was it designed in that way?
Okay. Well, I mean, he said his criteria was that he needs 2 bedrooms each, right? So in order to get a bedroom, then the living room has to be in the middle. Which may not be the best, but so I don't go. Go ahead.
So why does there need to be a 2-bedroom? Why does it need to be placed within a 2-bedroom?
I guess maybe the sale value, probably the 1-bedrooms wouldn't sell. So.
Okay, perfect. So I was just making space in terms of the 2-bedroom with the natural lighting.
Yeah.
And is it a fair selling cost in terms with that with the bathroom? Is it a similar square feet? is it within the same apartment building complex on the Hillbrook Street?
Which one? I mean, okay, I didn't get a question. What was the question, please? Again?
So maybe one of you can maybe repeat the comment that I did have placed before in the chat. So
Well, the last
specifically
one
making
was,
the 2x2 bathroom with limited access to natural lighting doesn't appeal to families and isn't as any more desirable as a 1-bed, 1-bath unit.
Well, I mean, you would have to probably before, I mean, he gets a permit, maybe have to talk to a realtor to see whether, you know, he should go back to just 1-bedrooms. I mean, okay, now we're talking about if, let's say the BZA does not go through and he still decides to renovate the building and add a 3rd story, then the living rooms would have natural light. I mean, then it will only be 3 bedrooms, so each unit would have a natural light living room. So we're assuming that I mean, it looks like the BZA may not go through. If it doesn't, then that's not an issue anymore. It will be redesigned as 3 bedrooms on 2 floors.
I have a question for any of the committee members? If a 5-unit building is built, is that 1 IZ unit? Is it 6? How many IZ units are required for, let's say, a 6-unit building?
1.
Just 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So, yeah,
almost
no-
assuredly it would be a 1-bedroom.
No, not 1 bedroom, but what I'm saying, 1 unit. Out of the 6 units, only 1 will be required to be IZ.
I mean, I'd say nothing says that the building, I mean, the building could have 2 1-bedrooms and 2 2-bedrooms and 2 3-bedrooms. Like there's a very easy solution for that, right? We saw earlier from Mr. Salajohn when we were looking at Redfin Link for the project in Holbrook, where they had 1 very light filled unit because they just had 1 large area in a bedroom. That was 1 bedrooms. And on another floor, you could have what Mr. Sal is showing here. And then on the new 3rd floor, they could do the family size. And there could be an arrangement, an agreement ahead prior to the BZA case where, you know, maybe one of the 2-bedroom units that's the agreement that goes into the IZ program. You know, I understand a lot of times in the IZ program, we see the applicants are only willing to give like a studio or a 1-bedroom. I just,
Yeah, I wanted to, whether the IZ, let me check the, whether this IZ, I mean, you can do a voluntary opt into IZ, but let me see what the square footage is. Okay, but go ahead, I'll be checking, let me
Yeah.
check on the IZ whilst, you know, please continue.
I mean, you know, there are a lot of 4 flats within 5D throughout Trinidad and Ivy City and Carver Langston. And, you know, if every single building can yield an affordable unit, I just really want to make sure we're not missing an opportunity here.
That would be nice, you know, but if they, let me check the DC zoning map.
Mr. Sal, do you know if you could find out if it would ever make financial sense for your client to put a family size 3-bedroom? If they were to build 6 units, would they be willing to put one of the 3 bedrooms into the IZ program?
I'm
gonna ask.
I can discuss with him, but how do you call it? The 3 bedrooms will be a high sale value. So giving that up anyway, but the difference between the IZ prices and Adam, I think maybe 30 or 40,000 difference. So I'm sure if that is what would have the plan approved, I'm sure he can do that.
There's not much of a difference.
Yeah.
These prices are not for the families that live in these neighborhoods, that live on these blocks, not for the families that lived there before. They're for people that don't even live here now. So
That's correct. Mhm.
I understand the property owner is trying to make the most bang out of his buck, but we're trying to understand what's going to happen to our neighborhood.
Well, I mean, most of those buildings are run down anyway. I mean, they're due for, how do you call it, renovation. So we can't help it. I mean, if they were in good condition, nobody will mind, but they are very run down.
You guys are the first to jump on the bull to try to change the block on this end. We have that property on Montella that got rid of the laundromat and go ahead and did that project.
Yeah.
But you're on Sims, you're the first one to challenge this. And from my understanding, it looks like you're just trying to go through the process thinking that it's going to get denied and then you can come back and get something better going on, which every developer and person doing these projects should, that's their goal, to get it approved, right? But I'm just concerned of what's going to happen to the block. That's my concern.
Okay.
So
yeah. Well,
and just a reminder, Mr. Sala, I'm sorry to cut you off, but if you do happen to come through this process again and come to this meeting, just please be a little more informed of some of the numbers of certain things.
Okay.
Just because off the bat you didn't know the simple question: how long has this man been a property owner at this location? You didn't know that. So it's just small things that I just hope for you to be more prepared for next time.
Okay, no problem.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. I wanted him to be present, but he couldn't. So, but anyway, yeah. All right. Well, the IZ doesn't really give us. I mean, the zoning map doesn't give us any clue as to whether they would insist on a 900 square feet per unit. So, but I would inform the Office of Planning that if we opt into IZ, would it help? If not, then, I guess either he goes to the hearing and it's denied, or, we withdraw the application. So I don't know what we're gonna do right now.
Well, I mean, I would say we've got 2 commissioners who are the people who will actually be voting on this at a potential meeting. So I mean, I'm going to defer to any of the commissioners on the line right now. I mean, what are your thoughts on this project?
I mean, I'll let Salvador take it first because this is his neck of the woods.
As I already spoke to the property owner about the 8-unit building, we were not in support. Then the block would not support this project per se. I can't support something where it just looks like it's entirely being created for commercial purposes and not for anyone that actually lives here. So simple as that. Anyone else? Ms. Lancaster's also here. Mr. Morrison, I believe. I'm sorry if you're also here for 5DO2. So feel free to say anything. That's just my personal opinion, but again, I'm here to learn and listen, so please talk right now if you can.
I had a question. Do the owners of the properties to the left and right know of what you're doing?
Yes, they've been informed. Yes.
When were they informed of these new plans, Mr. Sala?
No, they were informed about the 8 units. So they informed about the worst one. So, and you know, he has some letters of support, not probably not from the adjacent neighbors, but you know, maybe further down the block.
The planning process, I mean, as far as the plans, have they been submitted to DCRA as far as you building up?
No, not yet. We're going through the BZA before we do that. I mean, the building up, whether we get, I mean, if he doesn't get a BZA, he has by right, he can do the 3 stories. So that's not an issue.
Yeah,
Thank you, that's all I've had.
the envelope of the building is matter of right. On an RF1 zone lot, they
Yeah.
can go up to 35 feet.
Yeah.
They can do a 10-foot addition beyond the rear of the adjoining properties. My suspicion is, regardless of the unit mix, the future building is going to have the same height and the same depth.
That is good.
I have a question for Commissioner Salcedo Guzman. What would a building look like to you that you would support?
Just looking at the floor plans off the bat, it looks like rentals for people that probably don't probably for you know, people in their 20s coming to DC, like that kind of crowd where they share a common area, which is the living room, kitchen, and that's it. So it doesn't look like these are for families in general. The top floor plan that again looks like it's going to be eventually, because of pricing of who's going to be living here, it's not really going to be for families. So it you can show me the floor plans and stuff, but it just doesn't look to me that a family would be living there eventually. That's the honest truth. So I'm just thinking about walking into the room. What do I see? Where's my little boy gonna sleep? Where's my little girl gonna sleep? Where am I gonna sleep? I'm looking at I'm thinking of those things when I'm looking at these floor plans, and it just doesn't look like these are built for families. So that's just my take. Is just what I'm looking at from the design. Now, it makes sense from a renter's perspective to be able to charge high rent, where you can have couples split that cost and rent out these units. It makes sense. But I just know for a fact, here in 5D02, a lot of people here will not be moving into this because they probably wouldn't afford them. Probably just can't. So those are just my little things that I'm looking at right now.
Well, I mean, I think the 8 unit was sort of submitted on bad faith. I think it was pretty clear that had so many issues and was asking so much. The 6 unit starts to take care of some of those issues when you don't need as much parking, so then there's room for trash.
Sure.
I tend to agree with you, Mr. Sala, where I don't think BZA will approve it anyway. I think you'll end up doing 4 larger 3 units, which then it starts to make a lot more sense to me. I don't know that it will solve the financial, I guess, issues that the ANC leader is putting forward, because the 3 bedrooms still won't sell for a reasonable price, but they'll be by right at that point, I believe, and I can't imagine it going another way. And that's to Kevin's point of, without the BZA process, I don't know that there's anything we would necessarily get out of it for a lower income or anything like that, because at that point you're by right, and 4 3-bedroom units I think are going to sell for quite a bit of money.
Yeah, and that was my, if the BZA disapproves and 4 units are built, and there's nothing we can do. I mean, Mr. Sala's client is going to build something. They will be 4 market rate units. That is most likely what's going to happen. And I look at it like, is there a version of the project that would be supportive of the community, that could provide some IZ units. But what I've heard from other people is that IZ isn't really IZ, or the income level it takes to qualify into the IZ program, perhaps is that maybe that's too high and it's still not affordable to, I mean, I thought there was different levels of the IZ program where a unit could be marked for, people who are making, 50% of the area median income, or different levels.
There's 3 levels.
Okay.
3 levels. One is like up to 50%, or I think maybe 40% of the AMI. The other is 60, and the third is 80.
And so you sound like you are more informed on this than I am, and I'm not informed. So are we allowed, when the developer goes in, do they define, or who actually sets and defines what a unit, is it allowed to 50 or 60 or 70, or who defines that?
DC Housing.
I just sent a link, Kevin, that
Okay,
has that information.
thank you.
We have Commissioner Rhodes in the attendees panel.
Oh,
just so-
okay, let me, just depends. Only 2. Promote to panelist. Hi, Commissioner Rhodes. So I just noticed you were here in the participant list.
Hey.
Hi. By the way, I do want to say, I do want to be respectful of people's time. Normally, we only go to 8:30, and we only have the interpreters until 8:30. But if we can maybe wrap it up in about 10 minutes, I don't want to. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, especially our interpreter support this evening.
I guess really where I'm at right now, I just want to say, if Office of Planning is against it, that's a red flag for me, because I mean, for my recent extensive interactions with the BZA, they hold OP pretty high. So I don't know what we're really talking about at this point, because if OP is against it and we're not sure where we stand on it, and it really, that's probably moot at this point. I mean, I'm glad that we're looking at it, but I think we're going to either not look at something because they're not even going to need to talk to us about it, or we'll be looking at something probably pretty different in a couple months.
It'll be better. It would be just nicer just to look at something a little more put together in terms of what it'll hopefully eventually look like, knowing these comments and feedback, Mr. Sala, and knowing what the Office of Planning wants to do. It would just be nice to see a more put together product. Since you're going to
Well,
be setting
Commissioner, I think I'm
precedent for the
hitting on the
block.
point. I think I'm hitting on the point, Commissioner, that there's a very good chance that a by right building will be built that doesn't require our input. And that's possible, I think.
No, we know this is going to get done. I've spoken to the property owner. He's very flexible of anything that we would want to do, which is great because he wants community feedback and he's there for it. He came in with
That's
8,
great.
asking for a lot, and today they dropped it down to 6, which is improvement, right, for the community to an extent. Just because if it was just going to be these units, these 8 units originally, that's just really would have changed a lot for Sims and stuff. But the plans I'm sure will just be updated to these 4 condo units. Or what, Mr. Sala, is he still there?
Yes, I'm still here, please.
5 units was not in the picture. It would be either 4 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, the Office of Planning clearly stated that we need 900 square feet per unit. And
Correct.
the land is only about 3,600 square feet, so it's not enough for 5. So, so what I'm gonna do, like I said, I've spoken with the owner, Mr. Moya, but how do you call it? Probably I didn't explain to him the implication of OP not supporting it, because OP doesn't support it. There's no way the board would approve it. So, so he may drop the idea, or in that case, we would inform you in time so that you don't have to spend too much time looking at the project.
Before you throw in the towel, would
Yeah.
you be willing to postpone your BZA case for a few months? I mean, because you know, your hearing is actually coming up pretty fast.
Correct.
And I'm not sure there's time between now and then to even flush through and facilitate some additional community meetings. I know the zoning committee meets every month, and we could schedule special meetings. Would your client, I don't know what their timeline is like, would they be willing to postpone their July meeting until let's say sometime late September? I mentioned that because the ANC 5D does not have regularly scheduled meetings in July or August. So if between now and then there was a solution that the commissioners could support, the assumption then is that they'd be able to vote on that at the September ANC meeting. Could your client be willing to postpone their hearing until then?
Yes, I believe he would support postponement if he thinks it may make a difference. So.
And that's so the September ANC meeting is the 14th.
Okay.
I would say Wednesday, the 22nd. Yeah, because there's nothing worse than having a BZA hearing the day after the ANC meeting. It doesn't give the ANC time to write up their ANC report.
Sure.
But if the September 22nd or 29, now this is really a question to Commissioner Salcida Guzman. Is that something that you would be? Is that something that you would want as the ANC committee? Would you guys want to provide more time for this project?
I think it's a fair request for us to ask for in terms of this project.
Okay. All right.
What do you think about that, Mr. Sala? I'm sure Mr. Moya would support it, being that he's been a property owner for many years here.
Yeah, I mean, I explained to him that you need a little. I mean, the ANC needs a little bit of time to study the project, so it will be best for us to wait and get whatever support we can get.
Sounds fair to me. I would love to see some updated plans.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you just explain to your client, he's not going to win. It seems unlikely that he would get the support between now and July 13.
Sure.
And the ANC just doesn't have regular scheduled meetings in July and August. So that's really what's driving the September 22nd or September 29th, either of those two dates for a BZA hearing. I think that gives the community and the ANC time and your client to see if there is a solution more than 4 units that
Okay.
would perhaps yield an IZ unit.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I've run 15 minutes over. I apologize, but I do appreciate Mr. Sala coming to us this evening and honestly being one of the most honest presentations I've often seen. Applications where they're not so forthcoming, but we really do appreciate his candor and honesty and looking to find a win-win situation here for the community and his client. Do any of the commissioners have any final words before we sign off?
No, I think I've made my comments, but Mr. Sala, for any reason your client needs to speak to me because he's a monolingual Spanish speaker,
Yes, sir.
he can contact me.
Yeah, I would do that. I would let him know. Okay.
All I want to say is I just want to make sure that anything that's being developed is affordable, as Don was saying.
Okay. All right. I'll let him know that. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Have a good evening and be safe. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Happy Thursday. Have a good night.
And Kevin, will you add me to the Google group or whatever so I can see the,
Will do.
thank
All
you, I
right.
appreciate it.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you for everything tonight, Kevin.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.